Experts tell us that torture and the use of torture devices is currently a worldwide epidemic. According to Amnesty International, 75% of the world's governments have employed torture since the beginning of the new millennium. Electronic shocking devices, beatings, and psychological abuse top the list. And there is an ever-increasing array of ordinary objects that are not technology-driven, but that are used as instruments of torture simply because they are available. Among the most disturbing may be sexual torture.
Vaginal penetration, sodomization. Men and women are subjected to rape as a form of torture.
A famous example of that is the Coke bottle. Coca-Cola bottles were used in Latin America to be inserted in victims' anuses. Why? Because when the person was let go from the prison, the Coca-Cola bottle is ubiquitous. They could not go anywhere without seeing it, and therefore being reminded of their torture.
The most accessible contemporary torture devices are fists, feet, whips, and canes. It may be for this reason that beatings are among the most common form of torture in the world today, especially where there is religious persecution, in countries like Egypt, Pakistan, the Sudan, and China.
One famous form of torture that occurred for a long time and still occurs throughout the world is falanga, which is the beating on the soles of the feet with a blunt object like a cane. What happens short term is tremendous pain and bleeding in the bottoms of the feet. But after that heals, for months and even years afterwards, the torture survivor has pain just walking on their feet.
Beatings are sometimes accompanied with degrading acts of obscenity. A somewhat typical incident involved 3 Ethiopian women.
First of all, they were stripped of their clothing. They were hung upside down by a pole, just an ordinary pole. And then they were whipped with cords. When they screamed, they would have socks put in their mouths. Sometimes they would be bloody socks, sometimes vomit-filled socks, and this is a very typical form of torture.
In my experience, there are a wide range of implements and other objects that have been used to torture individuals. To name a few, iron bars, sometimes that are heated up and applied to the body, cigarette butts, batons are quite common, rifle butts. I've had clients who have been, their bodies have been pressed against hot burning radiators.
Often the key to the successful use of a torture device is the torturer's skill in keeping his victim alive.
Persons who have been tortured, certainly those who are being tortured for political purposes, are sent out into the community as symbols of what will happen to others if they continue to be in opposition. You need to be alive for that, and you need for the community to see you as a broken person.
The use of torture devices remains a shadowy business. While civilization's enemies may be arrested and tortured, legions of innocents are left to suffer the same fate, sometimes for years on end. With the threat of violence on the increase, it is likely the use of torture devices will increase as well.
Ultimately, what people can really do to help resolve the issue of torture in our world is to gain a new understanding of it, to accept that it exists, and to become educated, because it's real. And the more educated we are about it, the more likely we are to do what we can to resolve it. And this is a dark side of our humanity that we need to deal with and better understand.